There is a level of discipline that makes people uncomfortable, not because it is loud, not because it demands attention, but because it does not break. When someone shows up every day without hesitation, without announcement, without struggle on their face, people begin to whisper. They say things like, "That's not normal." What they really mean is this: "I don't understand how they don't stop." Most people believe consistency is a matter of willpower. They believe discipline is something you force, something you summon, something you fight for every morning. But the men who mastered discipline in ancient Japan knew something very different. They knew that willpower is unreliable, and they built systems that removed the need for it entirely. Tonight, you will learn about one of those systems. A system so quiet, so strict, and so unbreakable that even modern minds find it unsettling. The Zen monks called it the Gyoji System. And once you understand it, you will never think about discipline the same way again. In the mountains of medieval Japan, Zen monasteries were not places of comfort. They were places of friction. Monks woke before dawn. They ate sparingly. They worked in silence. They trained their minds the same way samurai train their bodies, through repetition without negotiation. One such monk was recorded in the writings of the Soto Zen tradition. His name is not remembered because in Zen, identity was considered a distraction. What was remembered was this: he never missed a single practice. Not during sickness, not during winter, not during grief. When asked how he maintained such consistency, his answer was simple: "I do not decide each day, I decided once." This was not stubbornness. This was not an obsession. This was Gyoji. The word Gyoji is often translated as continuous practice. But that translation is incomplete. Gyoji does not mean forcing yourself forward. It means arranging your life so that stopping becomes unthinkable. Zen monks believed that the moment you decide whether or not to practice, you have already failed. Choice creates hesitation. Hesitation creates friction. Friction eventually creates collapse, so they removed the choice. Practice was not something they did, it was something they were inside of. This principle later found its way into Bushido, the way of the warrior. A samurai did not ask if he felt ready. He did not negotiate with discomfort. His life was structured so that duty moved through him automatically. Miyamoto Musashi, the undefeated swordsman, wrote, "You should not have any special fondness for a particular weapon or anything else, for that matter." What he meant was this: attachment creates inconsistency. Now let us leave the monastery, meet a modern man named Haru. Haru was not weak, he was not lazy. He was intelligent, reflective, and deeply dissatisfied with himself. Every January he promised change. Every Monday he began again. Every third week he stopped. The gym, meditation, writing, discipline itself. He blamed motivation. He blamed exhaustion. He blamed life. But deep down he knew the truth. Every day he was deciding, and every decision drained him. Haru first encountered Zen philosophy not through ambition, but through exhaustion. Late one night, he read about Musashi's final years, how the greatest swordsman in Japan chose solitude, simplicity, and repetition over glory. What struck him was not Musashi's strength. It was his absence of drama. Musashi did not wrestle with discipline. He lived inside a structure that made inconsistency irrelevant. Haru realized something uncomfortable. He wasn't failing because he lacked willpower. He was failing because he was still negotiating with himself. That night he did something radical. He stopped planning improvements, and instead he removed choice. Zen monks begin with something deceptively small, not ambition, not transformation, a single non-negotiable action. For Haru it was this: every morning before speaking to anyone, before touching his phone, before thinking about his day, he would sit in silence for 5 minutes. Not 10, not 30, 5, no tracking, no reward. And most importantly, no debate. If he woke up, it happened. This is the Gyoji system in its simplest form. The action is too small to fail, but too sacred to skip. Something strange happens when a person stops negotiating with themselves. Their energy changes. They speak less. They explain less. They do not announce goals. They simply continue. People around Haru began to notice. He didn't talk about discipline. He didn't seek validation. He showed up the same way every day. This consistency unsettles people because it exposes a truth most avoid. Discipline is not about intensity. It is about inevitability. The samurai were feared not because they were aggressive, but because they were composed. Silence unnerves more than noise. Zen philosophy teaches subtraction, not accumulation. Musashi warned against excess technique. Zen warned against excess thought. Haru began to remove instead of add. He reduced his habits. He reduced his commitments. He reduced his words. What remained became sharper. Gyoji is not about doing more. It is about allowing fewer things to interrupt what matters. After months, something unexpected occurred. Haru no longer felt motivated, and for the first time, that did not scare him. Motivation had become irrelevant. His actions happened regardless of mood. This is the state Zen monks aimed for, not passion, not desire, but alignment. When your life is arranged correctly, discipline is no longer heroic. It is quiet. In old Japan, the most dangerous warriors were often the least recognizable. No ornament, no display, just presence. People did not fear them because they were violent. They feared them because they were unchanging. Haru had become someone like that, not impressive, not intense, just consistent. Gyoji does not ask for effort. It demands surrender. Surrender of daily choice. Surrender of identity built on struggle. Surrender of the need to feel powerful. In return, it gives you something rare. A life that moves forward without resistance. There is a level of discipline that no longer needs proof. It does not announce itself. It does not persuade. It simply continues. Zen monks understood this. Samurai lived by it. Musashi embodied it. And now you have seen it too. Not as motivation, not as force, but as structure. When you remove choice, discipline remains. And when discipline becomes inevitable, people will look at you differently. Not because you demand respect, but because you no longer need it. Silence does the work. Consistency finishes it.